I am getting I'm having butterflies in my stomach, in all honesty. And this is it's personal to me. It's my own personal feeling that I see victory coming. I am extremely optimistic. I can't wait to be proven wrong on Tuesday. But everything I feel, just almost like what I felt in 2016 when everyone told me to get ready to cry. They were going to bring some buckets to pick up my tears. And it turned out I was the one who was consoling them when Trump eventually won. And I feel the same way right now. And I feel that there's going to be a resounding victory on Tuesday for Donald J. Trump.
Okay, we'll find out what gives you that confidence. But let me quickly get the opening remark from Salami. What's the feeler there, especially where you are? We have quite a lot of Nigerians in that area. So what's the feeler there? Are they also getting agitated that Trump is coming back, or they're excited that Trump is going to lose?
I would say I think it's a 50-50 situation, largely because this administration has done quite a lot to suppress the vote or attempt to suppress the votes in many parts of the country, particularly in 5 swing states where it's crucial for whoever emerges to be the president to win those states. That's the first thing. The other thing is a lot of people who support Biden seem to feel confident or reasonably confident that he's going to win because he's built a very broad coalition, which is something this administration has failed to do in almost 4 years. Trump has been in office for nearly 4 years, and he's just focused on 2 narrow groups, the evangelicals and their supporters and white male voters. He's not really done much to draw in Hispanics or the female vote that he got the last time. He's not really done much to draw in the black vote. So there's a good chance that he would lose because he hasn't got the coalition that he requires.
Wow. Thank you so much. I'll come back to both of you. This is the vibes that we are getting. But let's come back to Nigeria here. We have a story of Okonjo-Iweala. You also remember the report from that America concerning Adesina's emergence when they had to go through a whole lot of disciplinary issue before he later emerged. So do you think Nigerians, as it is, will look forward to Trump's comeback?
Well, first and foremost, it's a great thing that they do the behind the scenes and the corridor politics, horse trading all the way to the 9th after the election happens on the 3rd of November. So 6 days. There should be enough time to know whether they're going to be dealing with Donald Trump or Joe Biden. But I do sense that if you had Joe Biden, it would present a different opportunity because a number of things I've seen on his foreign policy plate does suggest they're going to be heading back in the Obama Biden direction, where we did see a lot of movement between United States and Africa, working together. I mean, the last U.S.-Africa summit happened when Barack Obama was president. We never had any U.S.-Africa summit after that time. And we got the Binational Commission for Nigeria, which is the highest collaboration between the United States and any African country, any country majorly. And it goes from security into economy, into the Niger Delta, a number of issues where we have worked with the United States over time. And the point we made earlier on is the reason why the relationship between the United States and Nigeria or Africa hasn't suffered greatly, despite Donald Trump's sometimes nonchalant, attitude to what happens, is because of what is going on in Congress. The bipartisan work of the Congress has ensured, which is where a lot of eyes are also going to be looking at the polls, which is going to be happening in the Congress as well as in some Senate seats, to ensure that you still have people who are really interested in the working relationship between the United States and Africa. As for Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, I'm sure that a lot of people will hope that they can put everything beside, because I cannot remember the United States opposing, this is Nigeria's candidate and Africa's candidate by extension for the World Trade Organization seat. And I'm sure Biden will be trying to score something, what they say, low-hanging fruit with this one. I mean, it's a no-brainer, but if people argue about what Donald Trump has said about Africa and his relationship and sometimes his stone-faced behavior towards the African continent. You look at other allies which are traditionally closer to the United States than Africa. I mean, NATO, he's warred with NATO. I mean, he's shocked the G8 after they expelled Russia, saying that, why don't we go back from G7 to G8? You know, so traditional allies of the United States have suffered greatly, and you don't expect Africa to have fared any better when you think about it.
And King Joe, this is an issue that makes you a bit quite unpopular among a lot of African Americans. So basically, what's your conviction like? Why you are Trumpist? And like Salami mentioned, it's a case of focusing on, you know, the evangelicals and call them the white, whether minority or majority or supremacists, these different kinds of language. But basically, what's your conviction like? Why do you like him?
I don't quite agree with my brother's Salami's conclusions, because there's a recent Gallup poll that came out, and I challenge anyone out there to go look it up. The Gallup poll actually shows that a historic, that's the way they put it, okay? Historic 31% of Black people are out to vote for Donald J. Trump. Historic, meaning it has never happened before. And so Trump is reaching out. And First Step Act is something that Trump signed with his hands to help Black people who are wasting in jails for minor crimes to actually have a second chance at life. Nobody did that. Obama never did that when he came to power. Historically, Black universities, Trump funded them higher than any other president America has had in the last few decades. He gave them so much money. And not only that, Black unemployment is at an all-time low. So no matter where you stand, whether you are liberal or conservative, whether you are Democrat or Republican, these are facts that nobody can negate. Nobody can deny these facts. And not only that, we have this point that I always make every time. There are about 4,000 Liberians who were stuck in America for about how many years? About 20 years. And they've been looking for a path to citizenship. When Obama became president, they were screaming and rejoicing. I witnessed it. I was right there at my home in Burbank, California. Obama became president. These people were screaming out their heads like time has come for them to become American citizens. 8 years in office came and went away like that. Obama never signed it. Less than 4 years, Donald Trump signed that, and they now have a path to citizenship. Nobody can deny that. So what people are looking at, especially in Hispanic and Black communities, is not what the mainstream media is forcing down our throats. Everybody's looking at the results. They're looking at empirical evidences. And if I have a little time, I could also tell you about the WTO. I just put out a video which my brother Femi Fani-Kayode called to thank me for, and I've been talking about it and sharing it with everybody. People just get unnecessarily emotional. America is fighting with China at the WTO, and the reason is very clear. China is usurping the opportunity that WTO provided for third world countries or for developing countries. How can China go to WTO and declare themselves as a developing nation and began to take all the benefits that are supposed to go to developing nations, in other words, making them to take advantage of the United States of America? China is the world's largest trader and then the world's second largest economy.
Okay.
And yet WTO allowed them to get away with labeling themselves as a developing country. So the reason why China has problems with America is America said, no, you can't continue to take that. That's why the US seems to have almost crumbled the WTO operation and system, wanting for something new to happen. And Okonjo-Iweala has been seen to be supported by China. It's reported in Yahoo News, and I put that Yahoo News report on my own this thing. China supports Okonjo-Iweala. None of these media outlets peddling the whole news about Okonjo-Iweala has been able to get China involved in their reportage. They excluded China carefully so that they can call Trump a racist. But China actually supports Okonjo-Iweala. So that's what is going on, and I would like other people to
King Joe.
This is basically
King Joe, it's an opinion, it's a belief, and you're fully entitled to that. But let me quickly get Salami to that, because a lot of people would say, "What's the essence of this discourse? What does it need for us?" My guest here has mentioned quite a lot of issues about how Democrats prioritize African as a continent in terms of trade policies and other issues. Do you really think that China is the issue here, why America seems not to be giving their full support?
Yeah, I quite agree with the previous speaker in the studio with you, because one of the issues with America and its trade policy is that it wants to impose a unilateral trade agreement at all costs and on every occasion. So when it's confronted by the challenge of countries like China or multilateral bodies like the World Trade Organization, it becomes very jittery and wants to take that bullish approach to it. And that's why it's opposed to Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, because she wants a multilateral approach. Donald Trump, in his business practice, and the American government as it is today, have never been interested in multilateral trade. He wants to impose his will. He wants to impose the will of the United States at all costs, forgetting that we are now in a situation where the world relies on each other to survive. Coming back to the issue of engagement and support of Black and minority groups in this country, I totally disagree with King Joe, because one thing we have to remember is this man is adept, is very good at propaganda and promoting himself. On the one hand, he's telling people that he's doing so much in terms of funding for the historically Black colleges and universities. But on the other hand, his Secretary of State for Education is pushing policies that's making it difficult for many Black people to either gain admission or stay in school or survive after graduation, because they have such huge debts. All of the work that the Obama administration and even the George W. Bush administration did to reduce the burden of debt for education, he's scaled them back. The other thing, criminal justice reform, he's just taken one step further what Obama started doing. Now, people forget that Obama had a situation where for 6 years, he was curtailed. There was not much he could do because you had the Tea Party on one side, the establishment Republicans on the other side, and everybody else in between, opposing and fighting him every step of the way. So it's easy for us to look back and say, oh yeah, Trump signed this and Trump signed that. But hang on, Trump had the Senate. And he's had the Republican Party with gerrymandering that went on after 2020 election, controlling virtually everything. So he's beginning to taste, or he began to taste with the election in 2018. He began to taste the difference and what Obama experienced, and that's what he's struggling with at the moment. As far as China is concerned, America wants to impose. I'm not for China, and I'm not for America either. My country is Britain. I carry a British passport, but I've lived here for a considerable period of time, and I've followed American politics since 1972. So I know a lot of what's going on in terms of the battle between China and America for trade and trade regulation. America wants to impose itself. It wants a unilateral approach to trade with other countries, but it can't work.
Okay, Patrick.
You have to respect people. Patrick, you have to respect other countries, and you have to cooperate and work in collaboration with other countries. And
okay,
that's my position.
Okay, please, because of time, I'm just going to take 1 minute from both of you each, then I'll round up here in studio. Let me quickly go to King Joe. In 1 minute, a lot of issues have been raised about this form of America alone, America first. But it's looking like America first and nothing more. That's the argument out there. So basically, how do we say Trump's victory, Trump's re-election is going to be a good one for African American and Africa at large?
Well, I know. Okay, so first of all, let me correct what Salami said that Obama was sworn by Republicans who were not agreeing with him. When Trump was able to get the First Step Act signed, he signed it under the same Congress that is led by Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi, anybody who knows that this Congress is the most antagonistic to Trump. He was still able to get a bipartisan agreement to be able to sign that. So Obama, if he wanted to do it, he could have done it. Now, to talk about why we have to believe in this Trump administration for Africa is because there are a lot of evidences. I have a website I set up. It's called africans4trump2020.org. If you go to that website, go to the page that says Why Trump, you will see a plethora of things that this man has accomplished for Africa. The problem is the mainstream media just doesn't want to talk about it. It was this same man who was able to look at what was going on in Cameroon and said, America will not sit by and allow you to keep on murdering your own people and still be giving you aid. And he withdrew the money from Cameroon and said, until the human rights situation is improved, we are not going to give any money to you. When South Sudan was fighting and killing themselves after getting independence, everybody looked the other way and they were busy chopping, eating, taking off their natural resources. The same Trump administration went and told them, you have to stop killing yourself or America will do something. And indeed, America did something.
King Joe, your time is up.
Who are the troublemakers, imposed sanctions on them, and in less than 2-3 months, the government and the opposition came together.
King Joe, thank you so much. I'm sure you have so much, and like you said, if they follow you, they will hear more on why Trump for Africa. Let me quickly get your last comment, Salami. He has mentioned quite a lot of things. Some will also remind us the visit of Nigerian president to United States, some of the things that were signed, and also some of the support promised by America and some other issues. So don't you think there is something for us to say that Trump is not actually anti-Africa?
Is that for me?
Yes. Your final comment.
I like the fact that King Joe says he's got a website where he's listed a plethora of things that Trump did for Africa. Now imagine a man who ran the Apprentice for several years, and he's done all these things, and he wants me to believe that the mainstream media is stopping us from hearing it. When so far he's talked about the things he's done when we know he's not done them. So for me, I don't think Africa has any hope if Trump wins a second term. We can't expect him to do anything positive for Africa. We know what he thinks of Africans. We know what he thinks of African countries, and we've seen policies in this country that impact negatively on Black people. Now, somebody calls my home a shithole, excuse the phrase, I'm not going to be his friend. Because if he's saying that to my face, what is he doing behind my back? That's my question. So I don't think Africa should expect anything better or anything positive from a Trump administration, because he would have nothing to stop him from doing the things he really wanted to do in the first term, which he didn't do.
Thank you so much. I'm sure King Joe will love to reply, but let that conversation continue on our social media. But before we go, let me quickly hear the last comment from my guest here in the studio. What do you really think? How can Africa actually engage a Trump administration? Peradventure he wins. I'm not saying he's going to win. And you remember that that seems to be what King Joe mentioned. Yeah. Our frolicking, our romance with China seems to be our undoing.
Well, if you speak to many African leaders, they tell you that when we needed help, we went knocking. China opened the doors for them. You know, so that's what it is, unfortunately. And most of them, if they had the opportunity, I mean, they got a very bad deal with the European. They don't want to think about the European-Africa deals. That always fell through every time they tried to approach it. And the United States, you know, did more of talk. And then China, America now is trying to play catch-up with China in terms of the billions of dollars China is going through with its Belt and Road Initiative, you know, trying to discredit everything about it. But it's what it is. Many African countries have benefited a lot from what China has offered to them. And America will have to find a way around this catch-up business as quickly as possible without their cream on it, because the more they keep talking about these things, China is in different major capitals in the continent, putting up bridges, infrastructure, providing the capital, and all of that. They have little time for the politics going on. But it's going to be a great watch, for, like they say, for the neutrals. Just get your popcorn, stay on the front row, not row Z, and watch all of the fireworks play out. And I'm sure that Nigeria, like I said in the beginning, and many African countries have enjoyed the bipartisan. If you talk to many guys in Washington, they tell you that Trump has done amazingly well in the African continent in terms of what has been going on because of what is going on in the Congress. But he hasn't owned it. He hasn't said, this is what I've done. So they say, have some empathy in saying, at least this is what I did, irrespective of what is going on.
And relate with the traditional media. Thank you, Al Gobu, our Foreign Affairs Editor. I want to also say thank you to you, Patrick Salami, all the way from Maryland. Do have a lovely time. Trust me, we have your contact. We'll continue the conversation post-election. And King Joe, kudos to you. It's too late to change your mind on this issue. So the conversation will continue. I'm afraid I will not be able to give you my take on today's edition of Plots Politics. Time is fast spent, but trust me, tomorrow we'll be here to give you another interesting edition of Plots Politics. I remain yours truly, Kayode Ladende, saying bye for now.
Welcome to Tea Time on Plus TV Africa, where we bring you the biggest entertainment stories and, of course, analyze them for you.
You can have both parents and still end up as a useless child. I see them every day.
Most times I worry more about where I'm coming from and where I am now. And that determines my next step.
Why are you sounding like
Alibaba
now?
Plus TV Africa, we're feeling good. No time to dull, everybody feeling alright.
Still make music and people are still buying. Sometimes I look myself minimal IU.
Akpala music is for mature-minded people. I got DMs sometimes from Malawi, like,
Sleeping early.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment. And another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
In a world of overwhelming voices, where everyone has something to say, it is important that we bring the core issues to the fore.
As we lend our voices to inspire, inform, influence, and provoke your thoughts and action.
We want to hear these issues and know what you are saying. This is not just women talking.
It is an evocative program that touches the core of our existence.
We take on topics some may consider taboo and want to sweep under the carpet.
We understand that what touches one touches all. We know you have a lot to say, so let's hear you.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Plus TV Africa News at this hour. EFCC grills former FIRS boss Babatunde Fowler over the 100 billion tax evasion allegations. On the foreign scene, Tanzanian opposition leader arrested over protests. And outside Africa, 19 dead, more wounded after gunmen stormed campus. Thank you for joining us on News on the Hour Plus TV Africa. Here are the stories making headlines, and I am Amaka Okoye. Governors of Nigeria's northern states, the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, the Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, as well as the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, are currently meeting in Kaduna State. The Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Saad Abubakar III, led traditional rulers to the meeting, which is holding at the Sir Kashim Ibrahim Government House, Kaduna. Also at a high-powered meeting is the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Muhammad Bello, and northern lawmakers from both chambers of the National Assembly. The meeting is being held behind closed doors, but it is learned that attendees would deliberate on the various issues affecting the North in terms of peace and security, as well as other developmental issues in the region. The Minister of Police Affairs, Mohammed Dingyadi, has paid an inspection visit to the training camp of the new police unit called the Special Weapons and Tactics Unit, SWAT. Over 400 personnel of the new unit began training on Monday at the Police Mobile College in Egon, Nasarawa State. Dingyadi said he was happy with the progress the personnel were making and charged them to be good role models of the society. The minister further assured the personnel of improved welfare and other packages. Still in the news, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission is interrogating a former chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Babatunde Fowler, over the 100 billion naira tax evasion allegations leveled against a tax firm, Alpha Beta Consulting. The firm monitors and collects internally generated revenue on behalf of the Lagos State government. In a petition to the EFCC in 2018, Managing Director of Alpha Beta Consulting, Dakbo Akpara, stated that Alpha Beta has become a conduit pipe for money laundering and tax fraud to the tune of 100 billion naira. The ex-CEO claimed that the fraud had been covered by powerful politicians in Lagos. EFCC spokesman Wilson Uwojaren has confirmed that Fowler is answering questions at the commission. And to matters of education now, the West African Examination Council has withheld the results of 215,149 candidates who sat for the 2020 West African Senior School Certificate Examination in Nigeria. The head of WAEC Nigeria, Patrick Aregan, said this at a briefing in Lagos while announcing the official release of the result of this year's WAEC. Aregan said the results of the candidates are being withheld in connection with various reported cases of examination malpractice. He said the cases are being investigated and reports of the investigations will be presented to the appropriate committee of the council. 1,538,445 candidates sat at the examination. 1,003,668 candidates, representing 65.24%, obtained credits and above in minimum of 5 subjects, including English language and mathematics. Now, the Abuja zone of the Academic Staff Union of Universities has asked the federal government to implement the extant agreement aimed at developing Nigeria's education sector. ASU Abuja Zonal Coordinator Professor Theophilus Lagi said this at a news conference on Monday in Gwagwalada, Abuja. Lagi called for negotiation of the 2009 agreement, payment of earned academic allowances into salaries, release of funds for revitalization of the Nigerian university system, visitation panel to the federal universities, and proliferation of state universities, among others. He called out the federal government for failing to address the issues despite the agitations and strikes of the union. Meanwhile, the Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, has blamed the previous administrations for the continuous strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities. Adamu said that the previous government shouldn't have agreed to pay ASU 1.3 trillion naira when it knew it couldn't pay it. Speaking in Bauchi on Monday, Adamu said that since the government knew that they could not implement the 1.3 trillion naira agreement, they should not have signed it in the first place. The Education Minister, however, said that the government was not happy that the strike was still on. He promised that the government and ASU would soon reach an agreement. And founder of Citadel Global Church, Tunde Bakare, has said he is ready and prepared to contest again as president of Nigeria come 2023 if God designs it. Speaking to newsmen on Monday, Bakare stated that he has a fundamental right to run for the presidency if he chooses to. He added that he can't impose himself on the people, but with God's backing, he will be the 16th president of Nigeria. Bakare said he cannot fold his hands or continue to watch, but intends to contribute his quota to a better Nigeria. Now, there is no country without its own challenges, and Nigeria is not an exception. This was the view of various speakers during a book presentation held over the weekend. They stressed that Nigerians have all it takes to foster social harmony and economic growth, but would require a work-in-progress approach in order to actualize sustainable development. Jacinta Obiku now reports.
Nigeria, often referred to as the giant of Africa owing to its large population and economy, yet 40% of the total population, or almost 83 million people, live below the poverty line, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. How Nigeria should solve its own problems is the thrust of this gathering with reference to parental factors.
Parents could be the problem. So it's always good to have a mentor. So one of the ways that you can practically, if your parents are not aligned, you can always find a mentor that can help you to groom those skills or show you how you can harness those skills and what you can do with them.
As the third largest youth population in the world after India and China, both with high rate of unemployment, Nigeria youth are therefore challenged to think outside the box.
There is no Nigerian youth that is resourceful, reliable, that is idle. None. This era is the era of if you don't work, you don't earn. And Nigerian youths are trying.
The event also took another angle in addressing the issues around the boy child.
Some of the things that are affecting the girl child as well, that are affecting the boy child, the same attention also needs to be paid to the boys because the boys are the ones who become the men of tomorrow.
I think it's the gender conditioning that makes us produce a lot of irresponsible men, right? I think it's an urgent need. We need to begin to see ourselves as human first before gender. Right, so what I think we need to begin to do is begin to raise boys as children too. A lot of people assume boys are men. Boys are not men, boys are children. So when we begin to balance that narrative and we begin to raise them from parenting, from schooling, from domestication, right? Telling boys not to come to the kitchen is wrong.
On the take-home message, the host stresses that Nigeria can only be built by its citizens.
We put ourselves under undue pressure, right? Every nation of the world have their problem. They are all managing it. But in Nigeria and in Africa, we sort of escalate our problems more than the solution. We're good people. We're people that can rise above the gloomy of pains, corruption, and all of that. As a nation, we need to begin to take it one step at a time. It's a work in progress.
Part of the discussion was cultivation of reading and writing culture, as it is imperative for nation building. Jacinta Obiku, Plus TV Africa.
Thank you, Jacinta Obiku, for that report. Nigerian students sponsored to study in England by the Niger Delta Development Commission on Monday held a fresh protest. The protest is over funds not being released for their scholarship. The 94 scholars displayed placards with various inscriptions as they gathered in front of the Nigeria High Commission in London, United Kingdom. Joining us live is John Aberdeen, who is an NDDC postgraduate master's student in the UK. Thank you, John, for being with us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Right, bring us up to speed with what is going on at your end. What is the true situation as at now?
Thank you for this opportunity. We are 2018 NDDC postgraduate scholars. We actually awarded this scholarship on the 24th of October 2018. And then we proceeded to the UK and different parts of the world like the US and Canada and so many other countries in Europe for our foreign postgraduate scholarship to begin our studies. But some of us couldn't resume immediately for financial reasons because the NDDC didn't pay our takeoff grant. So we had to defer to 2019 to be able to come for our studies. And from when we began our studies till now, none of us in 2018 is yet to receive a dime from NDDC. Our tuition fees has not been paid. Our upkeep allowances has not been paid. We've tried severally to communicate to the NDDC, to tell them, to beg them, to plead that they should pay us our tuition fees. This is not something we are supposed to be pleading. We are not supposed to be pleading because they gave us this scholarship. We merited this scholarship. We wrote exams. we did CBT exams, we did interviews, and we were selected. Over 200 students were selected. So at the end of the day, 94 of us have not been paid because we were not able to resume with our set. So since that time, since 2019, that most of us started, till now, none of us, the 94 scholars, have been paid. That is why we are calling that Mr. President should prevail on the NDDC so that we are paid in full. We recall that on the 4th of August, 2020, this year, our president, Mr. President, instructed that all scholars that are being owed all over the world should be paid, especially the NDDC scholars of both the 2018 and the 2019. But as of today, only the 2019 scholars have been paid. The 2018 scholars were not paid. Some in 2016 that were still owed were settled, but they deliberately skipped 2018. And we have been raising alarm. That was why on the 16th of September, we came out again for another peaceful protest to air our grievances that we have not been paid. What is going on? Right. The commission, why did you deliberately skip 94 scholars? And the commission came and said they were coming to do verification. They will come and verify us to check that the authenticity of our award. This is a scholarship that we are awarded. Fine. They came on the 12th of October to the UK and they completed their verification and verified they came a week later and verified the 94 scholars. And they were supposed to begin and commence payment on the 12th of October. That was what they promised to do. But this is 2nd of November. Right. And as we are speaking now, nothing has been done. No payment has been made. That is why we have come to cry out. Because the same commission have accused us before that we are hoodlums, we are miscreants. We are not hoodlums, we are not miscreants, we are not ghost scholars. We are here live and direct. So that is why we are here. We came out today to ventilate our displeasure.
All right, John, let us understand. Help us understand if it is a question of paying in batches, because I also do recall, as you mentioned, that the first time 2019 batches protested, the government, a representative of the government clarified that they had made payments for 2019, but yes, 2018 hasn't been paid. What are they saying? Have you heard anything why they've not paid you? Because, again, you mentioned that they were in the UK and they have verified you. What are they saying to you? Clearly, that is the reason for not paying you.
For now, they have not given us any cogent reasons why we have not been paid. They told us that they've compiled our names have been verified, we will be signed off, and our details have been submitted to the CBN. This was after the 12th of October this year. Now, how many weeks after? This is the 4th week after the promise and after they told us that our payments are ready. We've not received any payments from them. And they keep on pushing us. This week, next week, our schools are tired. They are beginning to see us as liars. Are these guys actually scholars or not?
And which brings me to my next question.
We have been talking to them, even the representative of...
And that brings me to my next question, John. What's the situation in school? Because if you're saying since 2019, you've not been paid, are you still allowed to be in school? We hear cases where students are being ejected out of the hostels. What's the situation for you and the other 93 others? You said you're 94 of you. Can you hear me, John?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, I was asking you.
I got your question.
Okay,
the situation has been very tough for all of us. We have been through very dire situation. Now the UK is planning to go into another lockdown from Thursday this week. Many of us have been suffering, especially in this COVID-19 pandemic. First of all, our tuitions have not been paid. Our schools are sending us mails every time demanding that our tuitions are being paid. The emotional trauma, the emotional stress has been so hard problem. Coupled with that, the COVID-19 situation and the COVID-19 pandemic has made it difficult for us to even survive. Many of us are working in care homes under very deplorable conditions just to be able to get food to eat and to be able to survive in this hard time. And these are the things we have tried to make the commission understand with us. A few of us are falling ill as a result of the pandemic and have had to bear expensive medical bills to be able to cater for themselves. Some have been locked out of their online portal. Some of them that have even completed their dissertation, the schools have not allowed them to submit. Then those that are planning to complete that, in their studies, they've been given ultimatum to make payments. And we are continuing to see these things all the time. We send mails and mails to the NDDC, to the commission, but nothing seems to be happening. This is why we have decided, and we continue to say that we will continue to make our voices heard until we get a positive response. And the positive response that we demand this time is that they make payments. We have been very patient with them. It's over 2 years now that we've been owed this scholarship fund. Our scholarship award is over 2 years. It's more than 2 years old. And we are begging them that they should make payments. We are pleading with Mr. President, who has given an order that the NDDC should make payments, that they should comply. NDDC should comply with that order and make payments. That is all we need. That's our concern, so that our schools will stop disturbing us and feeling embarrassed. And so that those of us that are about to complete our studies, we can graduate. And so that we will not be handed over to the debt recovery office. These are so many things. Not only in the UK, even those in the US, they've also been locked out of their portal. Some of them cannot register for a new semester, especially those in the PhD. Like I'm an MSc student, but those in PhD, some of them cannot register for a second semester because they have 3 years to go. So these are some of the challenges we are facing. And that is why we came out to express our displeasure and to let the world know that we are real persons. To put a face behind the voices that you've been hearing and seeing on Twitter. 28 NDDC scholars are real persons. I'm just one of them. There are so many of us, and we are asking the NDDC to please do the needful, pay our tuition and our upkeep. We don't have any problem.
Hi, thank you so very much, John Ebadin, for sharing your thoughts. Quite tough experiences there. We hope that the Nigerian government, through NDDC, would listen and do something speedily for you. The news continues shortly after this break. Do stay with us.
Make a load recharge card, abeg. I don't find the money.
Plenty day to win for the 9 Mobile Mega Millions promo. 1 million naira for one person every day for 90 days. 2 smartphones every hour, every day for 90 days. 10 million naira star price day. New customers just come with side or buy a new line, and we go send you free 1 gigabyte plus 500 naira airtime. So make you the recharge 200 naira or more. Make you for the win.
9 Mobile.
Honey!
Daddy, please, can I go out with you and Mommy tonight?
Sure thing, sweetie. Get your shoes and we go.
Promise?
You have my word.
Daddy!
You know I wouldn't leave without you, my princess.
Stay safe. Maintain social distance. We are Fidelity. We keep our word.
And in other parts of Africa, police in Tanzania have arrested several opposition figures in Tanzania on Monday for protesting against the presidential election results. The opposition party members had accused the ruling party of rigging the general election. They also called on citizens to challenge the October 28th parliamentary and presidential election results. And Special Police Zone Commander Lazaro Mombosasa confirmed that they arrested 20 politicians after intelligence reports that the opposition was organizing illegal demonstrations against Magufuli's victory. The National Electoral Commission had announced that President John Magufuli won the election with 12.51 million votes, or 84%. Now, 4 members of a family have died in a fire in the central Ivory Coast town of Tumodi on Sunday. Their house was set ablaze during election unrest sparked by President Alassane Ouattara's run for a 3rd term. Security and medical sources say at least 9 people died in the arrest over the weekend, and 30 others died in clashes before Saturday's vote. Opposition leaders had called a boycott over what they said was Ouattara's unconstitutional bid for a 3rd term. The tensions have heightened fears that Ivory Coast could spiral into the kind of violence that left 3,000 people dead in a 2010 to 2011 crisis. The Algerian National Independent Election Authority has approved the amended constitution after citizens voted with a rate of 66.8% through popular referendum on Sunday. Head of the election authority, Mohammed Chafi, told a news conference that the total number of voters reached 5.6 million out of 24.4 million eligible voters, or 23.7%. Chafi said that the number of yes votes reached more than 3.3 million, or 66.8% of the total number. The newly approved constitution includes a couple of controversial articles, including the possibility for the first time in the history of Algeria to send troops abroad to support UN peacekeeping missions. This constitutional amendment is the 8th since the North African nation's independence in 1962. And outside of Africa, gunmen have killed 19 people and wounded 6 people when they attacked Kabul University on Monday. Interior Ministry spokesperson Tariq Arian said several gunmen had entered the campus, sending students fleeing. Security